Hello and welcome to Dungeon Master Talk, a podcast by Dungeon Masters for Dungeon Masters. I am Dungeon Master Shay, and with me today, as always, is...
Dungeon Master Kyle. How are you today, Shay?
I am doing great, Kyle. It's been a week, and that means that talking D&D is that much better. You know what I mean?
100%. D&D, like, this is not at all what we plan on talking about, listeners, but I feel it. I feel it in me right now. D&D is just one of those things that's like, when you've had a good week, it makes the good week better. But when you've had a stressful week or a hard week or just like hard life stuff going on, D&D is amazing because it's, you know, you're going to have a chance to work through it. But also you can have that escape if you want. Like, you can explore your feelings, or you can be like, nah, I just want to get as far away from those feelings as possible and just enjoy myself with some friends.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those are D&D, and so it's amazing.
That and D&D goes a lot better than my golf game, so that's why it's a little bit better for me. So,
see, I golfed with you. You hit the ball far. If you would learn how to aim.
I hit it farther when I picked it up and threw it versus using a stick to hit it.
Oh, that's also true. But you were a quarterback, so you can do that.
That's true. But I also putt better if I lay on the ground and use my putter like a pool stick.
No, I didn't see you do that. I'm curious why I didn't get to see you do that.
Because I don't think you would have golfed with me if I would have showed you my handicap score. So on that note, listeners, thank you for being here with us this week. I know you don't want to hear about my handicap, and I really don't want to talk about it. So
in terms of golf,
thank you for being here with us. We, as always, appreciate you being here with us each and every time this episode drops. If you would do us a favor and take like less than 8 seconds of your day and hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, whatever platform that you use to listen to this content, we would just super appreciate that. That would help the algorithms and the interwebs help us grow and help you share this podcast with the masses. And also, if you would love to hit us up with any questions or comments, we will give you all that information at the end of the show, and we will go from there. So we will have game updates. There will be a slight transition as the day that we are recording this is the couple days prior to the actual playing of the game. So we will make sure to get those recorded by the end and get those tagged in at the end of the episode as well. So that being said, I know, Kyle, don't look so scared. We've played D&D before. I know.
I've never post-recorded something and sent to you. I don't know if I know how to activate my record button when you're not staring at me through the computer realms.
It's okay. I'll teach you.
The act of observing changes the outcome. So when you're not observing me, do I record?
You know that shiny red button that most people say don't press?
So I should click it again.
I think you should, not right now, but when you go back to do this, you should totally hit that button.
Watch Kyle never record.
Speaking of hitting that button and going back into retrospect, let's give a quick recap where we're at. We've been in Silver Forge to start this post-apocalyptic campaign. I'm not going to go through all the details, but the last episode we talked about how there was this dead week, if you will, where the characters came back from saving Mamaw and they did some offhanded chores and tasks for the city to where they were able to level up to about level 3, give or take, with the encounters. But that said, last time we talked about a shipment that for the tavern that had gone missing, and the bartender was asking them to go and help retrieve said shipment. So, with that being said, we had talked about kind of where the shipment was coming from, what the general timeline for the shipment was supposed to be, and how often those shipments were supposed to come.
Yep.
But we never really discussed why they went missing or how they went missing.
Yep.
So we're going to pick up there. And we need to talk about Anthron just a little bit because there's going to be some gold digging, no pun intended, for the characters to go through after we get done with this.
Did you say gold digging or gold digging? That's different words.
If I said yes, would you believe me?
You said both words in one? That's an achievement. We'll come back to figure out the words you use. Maybe we can reverse engineer it from what happens. With that, I think the key here, it comes for what do we want this to be in terms of our campaign. So this has a chance to be a side quest, or I think we're both feeling something else because listening back last time, it felt like we were more leading for this to be like a launching point to maybe something bigger than a side quest. Because the more we talked about it, I think the more we came to like the idea of this Antheron being once a thriving, robust city to now being a bunch of destroyed structures that maybe some people, not under an organized leadership, but some people are inhabiting because there are structure, there's shelter. Obviously, this person or family that's supplying the bar with its drink, they have something established here. It's not a thriving town. It's not an actual town. There's no mayor. There's no sheriff. There's probably some secrecy, some closed door, but some opportunity to barter, some opportunity for goods because there are people here. There's going to be like little community pockets, maybe opportunity to have rivalries amongst community pockets.
Yep.
And so I think this is an area that, Shay, I'm getting more and more interested in having like some real time spent either in or around or because of interactions here. But I think a lot of that is key to, well, what did happen to that shipment? Did it never send? Because is there like mini war going on between the communities? Did it send and get intercepted because there's active bandits going on or something more sinister? I think like that's what the answer to that kind of determines how much time now the party will stay. Because, and I think personally, I like the thought of an answer that has the party staying here longer now because we just introduced this. So kind of the hook of it for the party coming in, it's more intriguing now. If they have to leave and come back, then it's like, oh, well, Antheron again. You know, it's just that different feel of it.
Could be.
Now, if they have some time away and then have to come back and it's different, that's fun again. But it like the immediate leave and come back, it just feels like Pokemon Red when you had to go up to the town, get the item, and then take it back down to the professor. Now when you go back up that market, suddenly can sell you more stuff.
Yeah. Every time, too. I don't get it. If the shipment goes missing, right? Let's say it left, but it got circled back around. Like there's kind of a hidden path misdirection to where like off the beaten path that had been made from Silver Forts to Antheron. There's kind of a backdoor passage that like maybe through some like tree groves or something like that some people have intercepted that and taken the shipment out back to somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
And so maybe that gets the adventurers from Silver Forge to Antheron, and then they get to start exploring in Antheron.
I like that because that could lead to some of that communal infighting type. Because I think what's interesting in a place like this in this time frame is like this is obviously where you would just naturally think, why instead of building brand new structures are the existing city structures not being reused, right? So this is our chance to kind of answer that for the players and say like, well, here's your example of why it's not being used. The inability to establish oversight because of these inner hostilities and also the terrain, like what maybe the introduction of monsters in this realm after the apocalypse and the existing cities maybe aren't built to withstand, or maybe location wise are no longer as appealing as they used to be. Like we don't have to have all those answers ring true for Antheron. We can pick one, but we can continue to show like here's the case for this previous city, here's the case for this previous city. Like why attempts to either maintain civilization there or repopulate civilization there within that city is failing.
Or what if we use this as a good segue to actually start bringing in the fractured of the levels that we've kind of talked about for the main campaign. This could be a group that is associated with the fractured. That's in a sense almost to the level that Mammoth secretly is, but we'll touch back on that later. But this is like a little group that's trying to get their feet wet. They're trying to like bootleg, if you will. They're trying to kind of get their name out and kind of become that governing body by trying to be kind of the biggest, baddest nomadic tribe, if you want to call them a tribe, in the Antheron area. But they're kind of being that bully group in that area that's trying to suffocate the town by taking all of their trade goods and kind of storing it for their upper tiers that they need to like either pay homage to, like a group tax. If you, I don't know what the best word is, but like how if you have to pay up your upline kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
their dues maybe. So I think like maybe what if the different tiers of this group, like maybe they have different core tenets or core beliefs, and each of them think that they're the true one, not understanding. Maybe they don't understand. Maybe like at certain levels they don't understand that they're part of this like big family, and each of them are serving a purpose of this god, and they don't realize it's a purpose. They think it's the purpose.
Yes.
And I wonder if like, and I don't know if this would be retconning anything we've established without really opening up the notes and looking at it as like a book form, which is not how I have it in front of me for these talks. But I wonder if like the fractured or maybe a different level would make sense here. Maybe they're active in here and they're anti like civilizational structure. Maybe maybe like why they're intercepting this delivery is it's like this is because this delivery is kind of a sign of commerce. It's capitalism, right? Even if it's not gold, it's my thing has value your thing has value to me. We're doing an exchange at a rate of how much of your thing is worth as much as my thing that we've determined. And this is...
Sorry, let me give you a slight retcon. So it wouldn't be the fractured, it would be like the cracked would be kind of our base level.
Okay.
Entry level. Because then it goes cracked, splintered, fractured, and then shattered, which is the clear top. But
And Mayma is shattered, right?
I think she's in the fractured group. She's she's only 15 degrees off centered. 15 degrees off normal.
Yep.
So
near normal. Okay. So these cracked individuals that we didn't think that through when we named them about how we were going to refer to them.
Yeah, I just the first word that came to my head was fraction. I'm like, wait, I know that doesn't sound right, so that's why I looked.
I think that's the one that we were most excited for using, and
I
so
know.
we just want to keep using it. But it's like that. We made it intentionally not the entry level because it's cooler.
We're like, wait a minute. We got to talk about the lower levels first. We got to build this right.
I kind of like this is kind of like I'm thinking that the cracked are probably kind of like our red brands, good
kind of
first few level villains. They're going to tail out of the story. They're going to really matter early on.
They're the group that kind of gives like the party the ability to be like, "Where's Rachel?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you hide her?"
Yep.
Kind of go Batman for a minute.
Yeah, they can go Batman with it. And also a chance to early on not feel they're low leveled them a little bit. Like we want combat with them to of course be challenging, but it's
right.
It's like fighting goblins. It's if there's enough of them and you roll bad enough, it can be risky early, but most of the time you feel pretty good fighting a goblin.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Unless your initial character build is just that bad, in which case you have my dice rolls. I'm very sorry.
Or you just go crowd surfing in a group of 15 kobolds and they just happen to stab you really well. It happens.
Or you guys throw the halfling like my party did.
I can neither confirm or deny this allegation, but let's get back to it. So the cracked have cracked and they're starting to do their thing. So let's figure out, okay, how big is this little tribe, this little crack faction?
That's a good question. They need to be sizable enough to be a threat, but not so big that it's like, why have they not just overrun Antheron by now?
I'm thinking like 50?
Yeah.
50 to 60 people? Because, I mean, the Antheron right now only has maybe a couple 300 people in it.
Yep.
And those are very, very small tribes, mostly just family groups.
Yep. And they may lose alliance. And I think like the answer to why hasn't that 50 strong overrun Antheron is it's like that's just not their goal. Their goal is not to wipe out life here. They could 50 versus 350. No. That's unorganized. 50 organized versus 350 unorganized. They'd win that. They could attack in the night.
Oh, and hands down. Yeah.
That's not their goal. Their goal is to keep things essentially at a more suffering than not suffering level. They don't want there to be cohesion between these family groups. Mm-hmm. They don't want
Yeah.
there to become a organized townhood structure here because they believe that their God wants there to be anarchy, essentially.
Right.
Everybody's in charge of themselves. So in a way, they've become not that to enforce that because they are an organized group
Exactly.
to keep disorder everywhere else.
And at the same time, they're taking all of the stuff that they pillage from the people and they send most of it upstream. They keep enough for themselves to stay working together, but the rest of it goes to the higher goal because that's what they're ultimately trying to say, like help the group kind of be able to, once they're together again, once they accomplish their goal, that's going to help set them up to actually launch their full scale.
Yep. And I think what I would love for the Cracked, just involving them a little bit, is that they do not know about the structure, the levels above Cracked. I would love it if the Cracked believe that they're actually delivering these goods to the deity.
Okay.
They have no understanding that there is a plan beyond them, that they truly believe that they're directly serving this god.
I like it.
The next tiers don't recruit from the Cracked. Like, they're like the Cracked are like essentially a joke to the other levels.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And it's like, cause like they want the disorder that the Cracked creates, but it's amusing in that nobody in the Cracked will ever rise above being Cracked. It's like, that is it for them. And they believe that they are that they're it.
Yeah.
Serving the god as the chosen, and really they're the least chosen of this deity's structure. Like, you're in it.
They remind me of the two pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean that do the decoy. The one guy's got the missing eyeball, and the other guy's, it's like the real tall, skinny guy, and then like the shorter, plump guy. And they're like, oh, they're stealing our ship. Like, wait, we are pirates.
I think like that's exactly how you should DM the Cracked, because they should be chaotic and random, but then also comedic relief opportunity, but then also the capability of being that snap to it serious early villain. Like, there definitely is the potential to have somebody out of the Cracked that could be truly hated by the party, and also ones that the party is laughing so hard that their guts hurting as they're interacting with them because of just the pure degree of chaos that this group can have.
Exactly. They're just organized enough to not be a complete joke, but they're pretty much a complete joke.
Yep. It's like they are organized enough that they are causing problems and they can be a real threat, but they're not organized enough to like truly tear it. Like, they could, it's probably distance why that they haven't stopped our town from actually forming. They're obviously wanting to hinder its ability to prosper beyond its current point.
Yep.
The way they determine that is, well, we're going to steal their beer. So they're not like attacking food sources. They're like, beer. Like, and they're like, we delivered a crippling blow. They will not recover. They will not be able to unwind from their end of their hard day now. They do not have a gathering place any longer.
Yep.
This group, I would love for it to be like, they think that the town's gonna end from what we did.
They will worship us. Wait, no, they won't.
No.
Let's do this. So we'll say maybe like, we'll give it 10 miles outside of Antheron is where the choke point is. That's where they set up their ambush. That's where they've already kind of cut and it's a really, really tight. The one thing that they did well was that they cut a trail hidden enough in the trees. Oh wait, this is desert. Sorry. They were able to cover their tracks well enough because like there's certain points when like the wind would pick up the sand and it would cover the tracks.
Yep.
Like cover the tracks that they would have made.
And maybe they had a system of like behind them, like trailing like a rake steel, and you just shake it side to side behind you,
there you go.
And your footprints are gone.
Yeah, something like that.
And then that's just going to shift the sand, so it's just going to rest.
Yeah, so yeah, they basically what I'm saying is they have that ability to just kind of cover their tracks well enough to where it's incognito.
And it wouldn't be true sand, because we talked about this more about like how Arizona's a desert, not like cartoon rolling sand hills, which I know that those are actually real, but like
I'm sure there's parts in Arizona that are kind of like that. A lot of it, I'm sure there's some parts.
I'm not an expert. I've been to Tombstone, and I've been to Phoenix, and I've been to Sierra Vista, so I'm by no means a expert.
Now you got me on that one.
Like, definitely, like, so essentially they covered their tracks.
Yes.
Either, like, maybe even low-level magic-y, because, like, magic does exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, or just in, like, they're chaotic enough that following their tracks made no sense, because maybe their escape route wasn't. Like, they knew where they wanted to go. But it may be just disjoint and weird enough that, like, traveling, like, following it is not easy.
If that's the case, then we need to figure out a way to... Actually, you know what? We probably need to make it farther than that, because otherwise...
Maybe 30?
Maybe not 30, 40, maybe.
50? You want to go 50? Because, like, 5s are just
Let's go
fun.
50, yeah. It's almost halfway there.
Yeah.
And then that way the messenger somehow escapes... Oh, wait. It'd take him about 6 days to walk that far on foot. You figure you can walk. Well, okay, maybe not quite.
Because then, like, think of it, like, it has to be far enough that they got away with it, but not so far that the guy in charge of shipment would continue on to safety, that he would return to Antheon, because our bartender didn't get notified that the shipment was interrupted or robbed.
Oh, that's right.
He just, like, it never arrived.
I'd thrown that idea out, but I think we scrapped that. Never mind. That's what I was thinking of. Never mind. Continue.
I'm confused now.
I thought when we were talking about the bartender that I was like, oh, we could have a guy that, survived the ambush come in, but I think we kind of parked that and we never came back to it. So
yeah, maybe.
I think, yeah, but if you're onto something though, if it was done 50 miles away, that'd still be another 90 miles you'd have to go. That would make sense.
I think maybe they find the survivor.
Find the survivor on the way?
Yeah, on the way to Antheon. And they rescue him. Maybe they're unconscious, unable to tell the full story there, because I really want the party to enter Antheon badly, because I think Antheon's got potential to be really cool. And the concept of really exposing this city it's in ruin, like it's not in complete rubble, because they're reusing some of the structures, but maybe there is some buildings that have collapsed or in a state of irrepair, but some that are in livable state. There's like going to be areas that are complete ghost town, areas that are filled up a little bit, areas that's like one or two families. Like, it just is really cool to me.
Yeah.
And there's so much we can do with it, so I really want to get them there so badly, and then we can explore it out. And then also, for listeners, my favorite thing about my favorite thing about pre-builds like this is when they give me an area where Shay just totally indicated to me that he's not cutting out my blooper moment there, so that's cool.
You're dadgum Skippy.
When pre-build campaigns leave me an area like this that's just truly fun to be in, that I get a lot of ideas from, and they give me some, but then they leave for more exploration. That's where I deviate from pre-builds hard, is like, I liked this area.
Same.
We're doing more here. I'm going to add some of my own characters, or if it doesn't make sense and the party's not driving it, it's like, I'm making another area enough like this that I can do all my ideas at some point, either in this story or in the next campaign I'm doing, because I'm already trying to think of how can I use an area like this in the campaign I'm currently running. I'm not coming up with ones off the top of my head, but like, I want to, because this just seems really fun and neat to me.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so we'll say that the barkeep in Silverforge says to the characters, hey, this shipment's going to be late. I have enough to maybe hold off for about a week, but after that, it's going to start getting a little dicey. So that gives them a sense of urgency to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And if nothing else, at least get the next shipment going to Silverforge, and then they can stay in Antheron and explore and deal with the Cracked if they need to.
Yep.
So, that being said, probably going to need one heck of a great travel check. And DMs, this is going to be a good time to work on some traveling DMing. I don't think we do this a lot because we kind of want to skip ahead to the action kind of thing. we kind of treat it like a loading screen in a video game. It's like, come on, get on with it already.
I'm so guilty of that. I literally made a magic secret tunnel that transported you guys across a great distance recently in the campaign because I was just like, nope, want to get to the next thing?
You did. But, and then all of a sudden there's that like tip at the bottom. It's like, come back later. You might have found a key to this locked door.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, fair enough. But use that to, in a one way, and this will be a side topic before we get into our main discussion, but using that travel time to help your party really gel together, like those campfire stories, hey, where did you come from? Where'd you go? Cotton Eye Joe, like you get to know your like let your players get to know each other in game in character.
Yep.
And then that will help you to deepen the story in that case. But I'm going to take that one set off the side.
Yeah, we can have that in an advice section sometime. It's a good topic for it.
Yes, definitely. Let's pin that one.
Writing that down.
But yeah, they're going to need a heck of an Arcana check or a survival check to find the track that was covered. So I'm gonna set it high. I'm gonna say actually like an 18, and even for a level 3 party, that's gonna be kind of high.
Yeah.
But we want to say that like this is almost an extremely difficult check because they're gonna make their way to Antheron, touch base with the distiller first, kind of get the lowdown, and then maybe say, hey, I've seen a couple of these guys maybe running around town. They kind of look like this. The last time I saw them was like kind of in town. And so like they'll kind of go a back way instead of taking the shortcut this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so that high check would be, do you find the shortcut and beeline straight to the cracked, or is it the travel check to see if they get to Antheon in a decent time? Like, because there's two ways here. Like that travel check can be used for like their speed to Antheon, or is it that travel check to be like, did you notice that along your way here there was another route that would have cut time into this area of Antheon, but then you came this way that was more obvious to the distillery.
Yeah. So that way that lands our people there, and then we can kind of kick that discussion in that direction. So I think, Kyle, I know we're kind of pressed for time this week, unfortunately, guys. With
sorry, listeners.
The holidays starting to come up, and we do apologize for kind of being a little bit more rigid with time this time, but we'll try and be a little bit better about that going forward. But that being said, I think we kind of talked about the Cracked a little bit. We kind of gave them a little bit of a personality.
Yep.
Kind of opened up the idea, the trade route between Antheron and Silverforge. And then that will give us a chance to dive in next time into what they'll actually find once they get to Antheron. Anything else you want to add on that?
Nailed it. Next time we'll be filling out Antheon, the time with the distillery, all that. So listeners, pre-plan in your head. Let us know if your plan was better than our plan. Tell us how you would do this differently. Absolutely. Also, listeners, if you have stories of when you built out a town like what we're describing with Antheon, like a half-ish ghost town type thing, or an area where you have hostile communities without like a law or structured leadership oversight, that's what I'm really finding intriguing within Antheon right now. Please write us about it. Again, we will have all that information at the end of the episode, or it's also most of the time in our descriptions when we remember that. So hit us up at those things.
At those things.
Yes. Again, I'm trying, because I said it's at the end, so now I've walked myself in this scenario where I can't say it now. And so look at the timestamp, fast forward to the future, and then come back. I'm so bad at. You deserve a better podcast partner, Shay, but I'm who you have.
I like doing this podcast with you, brother. All right, so discussion time, y'all. I'm excited for this topic.
I feel like we need like a music transition.
We totally should.
The classic circus music fits, but I don't know. I don't know if that.
I mean, that should have been our theme song. Really, is what it should have been.
It would have been more denoting for what listeners get. Because you and I being focused for a period of time is a feat.
You're not wrong. You're really not. Okay, so discussion time. So we talked about this a little bit ahead of time as far as, actually it was kind of, I'm not even going to lie, guys. We had 2 topics that we were thinking about doing, and we rolled percentile dice to figure out which one we were going to do. So
legit, that happened.
We're going to do topic A today, and topic B for next month, which would be in, oh my gosh, that's going to be in 2024.
Is that for real?
Yeah, because we're recording December right now.
Is this the final one of 2023?
This is the final of 2023.
Oh my, listeners, my body's not ready for this. I am not ready for 2024.
You know what? Actually, I like the topic that we're doing for 2024 because I think that'll be
a great opener.
It'll be a little bit more fitting. So, topic, drum roll, is Theater of the Mind versus Virtual Tabletop.
Yes.
So, for those of you who are newer to Dungeons & Dragons and DMing, Theater of the Mind is literally just as it sounds. As the DM, really, whether you use a hardcore map or not, the best way that you can really paint pictures for your players is through Theater of the Mind. So, giving them as much color and detail as you can in any situation is the best way to go. But Theater of the Mind in this case is saying, okay, I don't have any physical maps. I don't have like a digital rendering.
Oh, you're saying like hardcore, true, could be done over the phone, Theater of the Mind.
Correct. Yes. Or like if you were to text it all out or write it all out, like a book. Mm-hmm. Theater of the Mind is literally like you're using your imagination, and as the DM, you're painting the picture well enough that they can see literally everything in their head. They know exactly what they're smelling. They know what they're feeling. They can feel the 20 feet distance that they are away from themselves to their party member or the enemy that they're about to go attack. That's, in a sense, the essence of Theater of the Mind, right? Yep. Everything is literally in your mind. The other side, which has become a lot more popular and accessible, really, is virtual tabletop, or even just doing tabletop in general with your party. Like if you have a battle map on the table in your house, or in my case, I use a virtual tabletop service that, since we have remote players, they get to see the map and the tokens.
Yep, but there's virtual tabletops that go beyond that to like even supplying some cool graphics to spells like Fireball.
Oh, yeah.
Really letting you build out what your character looks like so it's not up for interpretation. It's literally what you see.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful. And so I think, like, disclaimer here at the start, listeners, the point of this, we're saying verses in it because that's fun and cool. We're not going to say one is what you should do over the other, because the answer is it's going to change on a per group basis. Mm-hmm. What's right for me and what's right for Shay may be different. What's right for you may be different. Mm-hmm. And if that's what's right for you, then that's what's right for you. So do not take this as us saying one way is real D&D and the other one's not, because that's D&D is what essentially at the end of the day what you make it to be for your play group, and if you're having fun, then that's right.
Yep.
So always keep that in mind. What Shay and I are really looking here is like kind of just want to discuss this out because this is a cool, interesting dichotomy between the two of like what your experiences are, how they differ, and then also really virtual tabletop in the last few years has really exploded. It used to be Theater Mind plus map was like the pinnacle, right? Like that was, if your DM was really good at drawing maps and depicting stuff in their art, that was like the best that you would get in that realm. But now, then there was the advent of online tools to help with that, and you could randomize maps to assist with Theater of the Mind. And now we've gotten into true virtual tabletop realms, and that's only going to explode more. It's only going to continue to evolve, and it is 100% very cool. And naturally, as with all things in 2023, everyone is very opinionated about it one way or another. And so that's where we want to come in, and we just want to share with you guys our thoughts. So that's just the disclaimer coming in.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of fall in the middle, to be honest with you. And I'll kind of go both ways on this, because I think the better that you can master Theater of the Mind as a DM, I think the better you can keep your players engaged.
Yep.
Which makes you not necessarily need to have a map or tokens or anything like that. The tokens and the maps, like, they're great tools. They're great visual aids for what you're trying to do. But I think the more that you can keep the context in the player's mind, the better I think you will get. And this is something I continually will work out every time I DM.
Same.
Because I can always describe something better. I can always describe the situation better, the layout better, you know.
I one time left out that there was a third floor to a building, and it was very crucial to my encounter plan.
It kind of was by a lot, yes.
So yes, that I do better than that every time now, but that was an epic fail. I crit failed on that. I like to tell the stories of my failures. He now tells us
about the third floor, but not the fourth and the fifth floor. We're working our way up here. But on the other side of things,
I was tired in my defense that night. I do want to defend myself.
You were. I'll give you that. But on the flip side, using like a map on the kitchen table, or if you use virtual tabletop, like places like Roll20. I'm trying to think of some of the others that are off the top of my head. Roll20 is the one I use personally. Mm-hmm. Not endorsed, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, not a sponsor, just a tool that is beloved by Shay, for sure.
For me, I have usually 2 of my 7 players are remote. One is for sure because they live out of state. So it's kind of hard for them to make it to physical session every time. And for me in Kyle's group, being out of state for that group as well. So I'm on kind of both sides of that.
Yep.
And I think being in that virtual remote state, for me, it really helps to have that map, because sometimes, like, if you have audio issues or there's something that doesn't quite get communicated very well, you can at least kind of get the general idea of what's going on the map. And so, and for me personally, I like it because it's interactive enough that even though my player is not in the room with us, mm-hmm. it still gives them a chance to be active with the group, by moving their tokens or drawing, their fireball or shadow dragon that they just conjured up in an illusion.
Yep. You still feel like you're at the table because the table's virtual. That's
exactly.
The table's not a physical location; it's a virtual location now. So even when you're thousands of miles away, you can be there.
Yeah. If I had the ability to create the perfect setup, I would say that I would love to have everybody in person around the table all the time.
Yep.
But as we all know, life happens. That doesn't always happen. That's just the way that life works.
Sometimes your best friends move away.
Yes, I did.
You did what was right for you guys. And not intending to cut Shay off here, but I'm very I find me odd when I examine myself, and it's because I am a very nerdy person. I am a very technically minded person. I work with computers all day long.
It's true.
And I play games all the time. But then when it comes to D&D, they have to twist my arm to get me to use a VTT. And guys, it's not because I'm anti them. I think they're wonderful from, in theory, I love every single one of them. And I love that everyone has access to them. But for me, I have D&D is my one hobby that doesn't heavily involve a computer screen. And it crossing over has not been easy for me. And I laugh at myself for that.
I will say this, though, virtual tabletops, if done correctly, are a great visual aid.
Mm-hmm.
It does, however, require a lot of prep ahead of time.
Yep.
Because you have to basically look at your map. At least the way I do it is I look at the whole map and I'll say, okay, I want this here, I want this here, I want this.
And then I want this hidden at the start.
And then I want this just demi-lich just ready to just end the campaign if I need them to, just sitting right over here in the corner, right where they need to be. Where I'm going with that is it does take time. It takes a lot of prep, and depending on how detailed you want to be with it, for me, I don't get a whole lot of time to prep most of the time because I'm always running around. I've got 2 kids to run, to chase around the house, honey-do lists and all that things. Just like everybody else.
Love you, wives.
Yeah, exactly. Love you. Love all y'all. But at the same time, when I get that time to actually sit down and prep my map, like I want to take a full advantage of that.
Mhm.
So that way, all I have to do is basically walk into session, turn on my computer, get everybody hooked up, and play.
Yep.
All of my prep is done. I can have fun.
I think part of why I struggle with virtual tabletops, and this is me personally, again, users, please write at us. And if you struggled like me and you overcame it, I would love to hear from you, because I did during the height of the pandemic. I was running sessions virtually, and we used Roll20, and we had some epic failure moments on it where, like, when trying to move my map, I deleted it once. We recovered it, but they were all laughing at me because they were like, "How are you an engineer?" And also, like, failing epically to use this tool that's not difficult. Like, for me, something that I have really struggled overcoming virtual tabletops, though, is for my creative mind for D&D, I do best when I literally have a pen and paper and I'm writing my thoughts. And I do get thoughts other times, so I do have notes on my phone, but my old phone was a Samsung Note, so I had the pen. My new phone is a fold, so I still have the foldable pen. And the pen doesn't fold, but it's the pen that can work for the fold. And I write my notes on it. Like, the act of writing it, for some reason, is like necessary for me to be creative.
Oh, sure.
But that's so unfortunate for my players, because I am also not very artistically talented. I can't, like, I have ideas in my mind of like how I want the town to look, how I want this villain to look, how I want the terrain to look, and in my mind, it looks like I'm watching a movie, and then I go to draw it, and it does not look anything like what I have in my mind at all. And I tried to draw my maps for my users, not my users, wow, my players. My professional speak drove into there.
It translates.
Yeah, so I draw physical maps for my players, but then I rely heavily on what I verbally say in the moment. And then I also rely on interaction back from the players to really flesh out how that looks, because then they give questions, I give answers, and I really get into logistics. So when we had a ship moment, because my world is very low tech, some magic, but a lot of ways around that tech. So I like my ship that my users were on. It was like Vegas on a ship. So think casinos, dancers, party all the time, show going, like there was plays going. I had slot machines, but they were not mechanical. They were people inside the slot machine physically spinning the dials to let them go. And like they could see the person inside, and they would make noises with their mouth to simulate as if it was electronic, even though this world never had electronics. And so I came up with ideas for like how that would work. I came up with how the ship would have a proper like sewage system without it being technical. And so like I'll think of stuff like that and drive it out. But then when I put it onto like a virtual tabletop, and when I was trying to drive my creativity through that during the height of the pandemic, I felt really I don't know why. I just like couldn't get going with it. And so we didn't progress the story much during that time, because I think I was spending so much time trying to make it look exactly how I wanted to on the virtual tabletop that I wasn't spending a lot of time figuring out like how is this world reacting to drive interaction with the players to progress the story. And so then the second we were out of that, and I got to snap back to my tile board map and my physical written notes, we got really into story again, because I was also really into writing for the world again. I took a long time there.
I mean,
rebuttal.
No, you're fine. And I get that. Like I'm kind of I'm a secret OCD perfectionist when it comes to that, but at the same time,
that's not a secret.
Like,
I'm not surprised
I also know that
you're OCD.
My CDO, yes. But like for me, it's one of those things. Like I think that's where theater of the mind is so critical, because if you can paint that picture, you can give them like just a straight line. It doesn't have to be shaded in or anything like that. Like if you paint it really well with the theater of the mind, they'll put that in there for you. Like they'll project that with you on there. That way you don't have to worry about like every little detail. But I will say this, one of the guys that I have played non-D&D games with, he showed me a couple of websites called Dungeon Map Maker.
Yep, I've used that
and
before.
2 Minute Tabletop. And again, not endorsed by either one of those, but
Just products we think are cool.
kind of tinked around with it a little bit. Yeah, and like it will help you kind of make quick maps that are, straight lined, and maybe you can add little furnitures and different, things that you want to add to it. So if you want to go down that way on that road of like virtual tabletop, and then you can upload those maps into whatever virtual tabletop that you use. I mean, that's another way to do it versus just trying to use like pen and paper and pencil and eraser and paper. And for me, it's mostly like a big block of eraser because I'm going to be changing a bunch of things.
And I do all mine with a felt tip pen because it makes me feel cool when I'm writing. And so when I mess up, it's crumple up the paper and try again. So I become very meticulous. So it takes me a long time.
Yeah.
Like I find myself where I know the choices I'm making and I know the consequences of the choices that I'm making. I'm just still choosing to make them. Like that's why
that's fine. Like we said, like you have your style and your style works.
Yeah.
And I have a style that my players have gravitated to, and I've appreciated them following me into the great beyond.
Uh-huh.
And then, every other DM has found a way to connect with their players, whether it's really through that theater of the mind or using a heavy virtual tabletop, or if you want to get real fancy. And if you want to get real fancy and you get like the actual tiles and the mountains and stuff like that you can put on a table, like that's just next level, like awesome.
I want to be there. That's my goal. I'm just slowly acquiring.
I would love to be there. That is an expense that I can't even fathom right now, because just like buying all the individual pieces and trees and like Bob Ross little happy trees over here and just all this. They are amazing to look at. And like when you get if you get a chance to see somebody's like D&D construct of like their dungeon delve or whatever, I implore you to do so, because it's just fascinating.
Yep.
If you want to keep it simple and use like a virtual thing, that's awesome. If you are really, really, really good at storytelling and you can paint that picture in your players' minds, use theater of the mind. If that's your strong suit, don't shy away from it. Yep. Like embrace it.
Don't be afraid to try new things, because like your party,
my
the other campaign that I was running, for that one I was trying to lean in hard to virtual tabletop because it was, like you said, a lot more heavily remote focused, and I was hoping to
kind of practice a little bit.
Yeah, work through my roadblocks work through my creative mental blocks around it,
sure,
and the issues I had in the past, so that I could expand into it. Because, like I said, it is something that I love that these tools exist. And I like when I look at them, I always get excited because I'm like, yeah, you can do all these things. It's so cool. And then I just personally struggled to like really expand into them and ever feel satisfied with what I had, versus when I am like heavily reliant on the theater of the mind and making my maps. And I think my problem personally, and as we've talked this out, I kind of had a small epiphany. It's like, it does not have to be solely one or the other. If you're using virtual tabletop, you should still be creating a theater in the mind's eye.
Right.
And if you're relying heavily on theater in the mind's eye, that does not mean you can't rely on pre-generated maps or maps that you create virtually and then print out or display or ask your players to log in to give it a shot. So it's not one or the other. And I think like that's something I'm going to challenge myself. Probably not in time for playing this weekend because that's a quick turnaround. But in the future, maybe I can try to challenge myself again of exploring back out.
Hey, you know what? 2024 is coming right around the corner. It'd be a great time to break that out.
Yeah, 21 it more. And
okay, so that wraps up the discussion. I think that was, I think that was a great discussion on theater versus virtual tabletop. Let's go ahead and transition now to game updates. All right, listeners, this is the point of the show where Shay will update you on his game that happened this last month in November. And then we were able to have our session right before Thanksgiving. We were able to get the whole gang together this time for a session, which is great because the last few times we'd had just a couple people missing just due to life and things. But just to give you a quick update, so last we had left off, the party had been walking around in this dungeon trying to figure out what all these different elemental peoples were trying to do with the different various elements. And, well, what happened was they found somebody from their past and got in a fight with him, ended up finding some prisoners that they had been holding hostage and torturing and all that stuff. And then, started this last episode, one of those prisoners made the group a deal that they would take them to the person they were looking for, and they would just basically in exchange for letting them do their job and taking out the person responsible for this cult. So after a little bit of the group trying to negotiate and make sure everybody's on the same page, and then the couple of members that were absent from the last couple sessions were able to find the party, they, instead of going straight to the bad that the help was thinking that they were going to go, they ended up barging into a different room, and which is pretty typical. They like to explore a lot, which is great. I love that. And they ended up finding some pretty good loot. They found some enchanted, think brass knuckle, only like Wolverine style. It got like these claws, but you put them on like brass knuckles kind of thing. They found some gold. They found some other different various things. But then as they were taking their rest, there were some dreams, and the wolf saw flesh on her body instead of the fur that she was used to, and that's about where we cut. So in the December game, we should hopefully have some resolution to that, and then we will see what they end up doing next. Thank you for letting me update you on our game. It's been a privilege to keep you updated, and we look forward to continuing to update you guys in the coming games as well.
I can't believe that story, Shay. Like that, the fact that happened, just whoa. We just want to thank you so much for joining us now once a month at this new cadence. We hope that what you're seeing is what we're feeling, that this additional time in between is helping us to deliver to you a podcast that's more aligned with the quality that we're hoping for. Listeners, if you think back to Virtual Tabletop versus Theater of the Mind's Eye, or anything you heard in today's session that we were talking about with Antheron and the Cracked, if you have questions, comments that you want to weigh in on these discussions, you have thoughts about the campaign we're building, you have thoughts on the discussion of Virtual Tabletop versus Theater of the Mind's Eye, or you have a topic that you'd like to hear us talk about in future episodes, you can hit us up at dungeonmastertalk@gmail.com. You can also let us know at Facebook, the Dungeon Master Talk. Nope, that's not it. Shay will say the name of our Facebook page, and then I'll talk again.
The Dungeon Master Talk page.
Yes, I was right. I second-guessed myself for no reason.
You were right.
And then you can also tweet at us over on X, also known still sometimes as Twitter, at DMT the podcast. You can also use the hashtag Dungeon Master Talk. We really love hearing from you guys. It seriously means so much to us. Like, we love that you're listening. We love every email that we've ever received, every Facebook message, every tweet of all time. Like, guys, you have one of those last years for Shay and I, because it blows our mind. So we just want to say big thank you. Can't believe that we did another year. So that went fast. So please enjoy your new year.
Yeah, it did go fast.
Yeah, absolutely. So please enjoy your new year. Please enjoy your holidays.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed your turkey days. And if you're in the United States, and if anybody else celebrates Thanksgiving,
October for Canada, I think.
Oh, we're kind of a month behind them, but
we'll do better. Maybe. I don't want to promise that because we'll forget, but we will make the attempt to be better.
And about a 4-week in advance Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and all of that to everybody when that time comes in the month of December. And for all of us here at Dungeon Master Talk, I am Shay.
And I'm Kyle.
And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.